Have you ever looked at a workout plan and felt like you needed a secret decoder ring just to figure it out? Yeah, the world of lifting has its own language, and it can be super confusing. But what if I told you that learning that language is the absolute key to unlocking your best results? Well, today, we are decoding the essential terms from Jeff Nippard's The Muscle Ladder. We're going to turn all that confusion into confidence and give you the blueprint to train way, way smarter. All right, here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the big picture, how you actually plan out your entire training year. Then, we're going to zoom right in on how to build the perfect workout. After that, we'll talk about measuring your effort, so you know you're actually training hard enough to grow. We'll also cover the #1 rule for making progress, and we'll finish up with some pretty cool advanced tools to help you smash through any plateau. You wouldn't try to build a house without a blueprint, would you? Of course not. Well, the exact same thing goes for building your body. Real, long-term success isn't about just doing random workouts. It's all about having a clear, structured plan. So, how do the pros do it? How do the best lifters in the world map out their success? I'll tell you one thing, they don't just wander into the gym and hope for the best. Nope, their progress is planned out, sometimes years in advance, using a system that's designed to get them the most gains possible while keeping them safe and healthy. And that system has a name: periodization. The easiest way to think about it is like a master strategy for all your training. It's how you intelligently juggle things like how much you're lifting and how hard you're going over weeks, months, and even years, just to make sure you keep making progress. And it's all built on a really simple 3-level pyramid. At the very, very top of that pyramid is the macro cycle. This is the 30,000-foot view. It's your entire year of training, and it's all pointed toward one big, major goal. Maybe that's a competition, or maybe it's just looking awesome for the summer. That's your macro cycle. Okay, so that big year-long plan is then broken down into mesocycles. Think of these like chapters in your book. They're shorter training blocks, usually lasting a few months. Each one of these chapters has a specific goal, like a 3-month block where your only mission is to build as much muscle as possible. And finally, we break it down even further into the microcycle. This is your weekly schedule. This is the nitty-gritty, the exact exercises, the sets, the reps you're doing every single day in the gym to make that bigger plan happen. So you see how it all fits together? You start with that huge year-long goal, you break it down into manageable monthly blocks, and then you execute that plan with a detailed weekly schedule. It's this top-down approach that turns a massive, intimidating goal into simple, easy-to-follow steps. Okay, so we've got our long-term plan sorted. Now let's zoom in on a single workout. How do you actually put together a great session? Well, it all starts with understanding one simple fact. Not all exercises are created equal. Every single workout you do should be built around your primary exercises. These are the big dogs, the heavy, compound movements like your squats, bench presses, and deadlifts. They use the most muscle, they make you the most tired, and they are the #1 drivers of pure strength. This is the main course of your workout meal. And after that main course, you've got your side dishes. Secondary exercises are still big movements, but they're a little less taxing. Think things like lat pull-downs or lunges. Then you have your tertiary exercises. This is your detail work, like bicep curls or leg extensions, where you're really zoning in on one specific muscle. A truly great program knows how to balance all three to build both that raw strength and a really well-rounded aesthetic physique. Look, you can have the most perfect plan and the best exercises in the world, but if you're not putting in the right amount of effort, you are leaving so many gains on the table. Knowing how hard to push is a skill, and it's maybe one of the most important ones. No, seriously, I want you to ask yourself this question right now, because according to Jeff Nippard, this is the single biggest reason why most people just stop making progress. They stop their sets way, way too early, long before they've pushed hard enough to actually signal to their body that it needs to grow. So how do we fix that? How do we measure our effort? Well, meet your new best friend, reps in reserve, or RIR. It's a super simple idea. When you finish a set, you just ask yourself, how many more good form reps could I have done if my life depended on it? If the answer is 1, that's 1 RIR. If the answer is 0, well, that's true failure. And RIR is directly related to another term you've probably heard, RPE, or rating of perceived exertion. They're basically two sides of the same coin. An RPE of 9 is the same as leaving 1 rep in the tank, or 1 RIR. Now here's the key. For building muscle, all the science points to this sweet spot right here, between 0 and 3 reps in reserve.
That's the intensity zone where the magic happens.
All right, let's talk about the one principle that ties everything else together. This is the fundamental, non-negotiable law of getting bigger and stronger over time. Without this, even the most intense effort will eventually just lead you straight to a plateau. And that law is progressive overload. Your body is an amazing adaptation machine, but it's also kind of lazy. It will not change unless you give it a very good reason to. Progressive overload is all about systematically, gradually increasing the challenge over time. You have to force your muscles to adapt by growing. It's simple. If you're not getting stronger or doing more work over time, you're not growing, period. And hey, listen up, because this is really important. It's not just about adding more weight to the bar. You've got options. Yeah, increasing the load is the classic way to build strength, but you can also aim for more reps with the same weight, which is an awesome way to drive muscle growth. Or you can just increase your total volume by adding another set. All three are valid ways to progressively overload. Okay, so you've got your plan, you're choosing the right exercises, you're training hard, and you're progressively overloading. But eventually, especially for more advanced lifters, progress can slow to a crawl. That's when it's time to open up the expert toolbox. Let me be super clear here. These next few techniques are not for beginners. These are high-intensity strategies that you should use pretty sparingly. They're designed for more experienced lifters who need to shock their muscles into new growth after hitting a really stubborn plateau. First up, we have the drop set. This one is brutal. You take a set all the way to failure, then you immediately lower the weight and you just keep going until you fail again. It's a way to push a set way beyond its normal limits and create a ton of metabolic stress really, really fast. Next up, lengthened partials. So the latest research is showing that training a muscle when it's in a stretched position is a huge trigger for growth. So with this technique, after you can't do any more full reps, you keep going, but only in the bottom, most stretched part of the movement. This keeps tension exactly where it's most effective for building muscle. And finally, myo-reps. This is a super efficient rest-pause method. Here's how it works. You do one main set to failure, you take a tiny rest, like just 3 to 5 deep breaths, and then you crank out a few more reps. You repeat this for several of these little mini sets. The whole point is to cram a ton of those really hard, growth-producing reps into a very short amount of time. So there you have it. From planning your whole year to executing that last gut-wrenching rep, you now speak the language of strength. You've got the blueprint, you've got the building blocks, and you've even got the advanced tools. So the only question left is, how are you going to use them to write your own story?